Over the course of this gaming generation, we've heard nothing but a slew of bad news coming from Microsoft and Xbox. Constant year-over-year hardware sales lows and general decreased consumer interest. From the outside looking in, it just seems like Xbox's future might be looking bleak. But I actually think they may be in a perfect position. Let's break it down. Before we talk about their current position, let's talk about how they got here. Xbox has had a series of missteps since the beginning of the Xbox One generation with pricing, cloud gaming, lack of exclusive games. I mean, the list can go on.
Do it, and fortunately we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message if you don't.
But to understand them is to understand that they're ran by one of the most successful tech companies in the world, and that they're always going to be on the bleeding edge of tech, even if it causes them to bleed out. At the beginning of the pandemic, both Sony and Microsoft saw gaming explode in popularity as people were locked down looking for ways to entertain themselves. This led to massive spikes in both hardware and software sales, causing shortages across the board for both companies. However, one issue that came from this time was overinvestment into gaming products. Both companies significantly boosted their console production and made major acquisitions of gaming studios to secure exclusive first-party content. Microsoft, for example, spent a staggering $69 billion to acquire ABK, gaining access to Call of Duty, Candy Crush, and more. While these moves made sense in the moment, I feel neither company fully accounted for the challenges that followed, like multiple lockdowns, team crunch, economic instability, and other unpredictable factors. Also, once things returned to normal, gaming just wasn't as big of a priority to many, causing numbers to drop significantly from the beginning of 2020. So now let's talk about Microsoft's current business strategy and why it's actually genius from a business perspective. Forget your favorite console for a second and let's look at this purely from a profit-driven standpoint. There are two main ways that a business can increase profits. The first way is to extract more money from their existing customers, and I call this the Sony strategy. With Sony's $85 controllers, $700 consoles, $200 headsets, expensive subscription services, $80 disk drives, I could continue to go on. But with this approach, you're not necessarily focused on growing your customer base, but rather making more money from the customers that you already have. The second way, and the way that Microsoft's electing to use, is to increase your customer base by attracting users from competitors and meeting them exactly where they are. This means partnering with other platforms or putting your services or products on different ecosystems to grow your overall volume. Sony also utilizes this strategy a bit with their PC initiative, but it's not exactly the same. So I know you're asking, if content is king, why is Xbox giving up their exclusive content? With this strategy, Microsoft is pretty much swallowing their pride and making their platform more accessible. Now they can still sell hardware, but they just no longer are solely reliant on it. Plus, the data shows that gamers primarily play third-party titles anyway, so this move allows them to potentially win over new customers or at worst, make a sale and gain a new fan. This also could boost developer morale. Right now it seems like there's a bidding war between Xbox and PlayStation, especially when it comes to smaller studios. While PlayStation has sold well, they've also shut down quite a few studios just like Microsoft. If Microsoft can make those games available across all platforms, increasing their reach and their chances of a successful launch, it can make working with Microsoft a more attractive option for developers. They may feel less fear of being shut down by Microsoft than they may with Sony, which could lead to more developers choosing to work with Xbox over PlayStation in the future. So regardless of who executes it better, both Sony and Microsoft are showing that console exclusives are becoming a thing of the past. With development budgets reaching record highs like $400 million, these companies have a responsibility to their shareholders, not just their fans, to make the best moves for the quickest and highest profits. Sony's approach to PC ports even seems to be speeding up. And game sales are declining, with data showing that most users only purchase about 2 games a year.
30% of people that play video games will not buy a video game this year.
Wow.
So that's a third of the audience that just won't buy. A further 18% purchase a new game every 6 months or less frequently. So these are your folks that are buying Madden or EAFC, or they're picking up Call of Duty, right? Your big mass market only kind of buyer. The kind of purchaser that's watching this show, you're probably buying at least 1 game a month, maybe more. Only 12% of video game players buy a game once a month. Only 4% buy games more often than once per month. So
whether it's a slow return on exclusives or margins not meeting expectations, even Sony is starting to adjust their strategy a bit. But please get in the comments to let me know how you feel. Personally, I think that this is the best decision. Giving more people the opportunity to buy your product always seems like the smartest opportunity for business. But of course, I know that gaming is a little bit different, and a lot of gaming's loyalty is predicated off exclusives. So hopefully, after listening to everything I had to say, looking at some of the reference points, some of the data, you can also agree that this may not be as bad as what it actually seems. Now, I understand people feel strongly about exclusives in their favorite platform, but just look at this from a business perspective as if this was your company. Please get in the comments and let me know. Do you agree? Or is Xbox really potentially winning in the long run with this? I'm out. Till the next time.